I just knew I had to cast this match. As soon as I read the description, it was a little bit of spoilers, but as soon as I read the description submitted on the Brightworks Discord channel, where the replay submissions I usually are pulled from, feel free to go sign up, by the way. Link is down below in the description, as it always is. I knew I had to cast this game. A strategy apparently occurs that I've always wanted to showcase, but I feel like I never really get a chance to. So, today, without further ado, our Blue Cortex Commander spawning right here on the front lines of Swirly Rock. None other than Irish Stud 14. Irish Stud 14 gonna be showing us what he's got here, a fellow potato eater. Going to be building a couple of those Cortex units and trying to contest that front line here. A bit of an interesting build order. It looks like we're gonna go for, okay, a little bit of a greedy start here for our blue commander. Going to be going for the mech solar panel and a LLT here into another solar panel. Okay. You can do this off of one solar panel. If you go for the second one, you're going to float a little bit of energy. Of course, not the end of the world, and hey, maybe you'll help out a teammate, but it does mean that this lab is going to be up just a little bit later. Anywho, on the other side of the map, the red team leader spawning as Swimman rather, spawning as an Armada commander, spawning right up here in the backline position, where usually we see tech and or air. Swirly Rock. Let's take a look at the map really quick, just before these teams do clash heads. One of the things that it features are these bad boys. The little, when you get kind of close, they're a little uneasy. Yeah, kind of gyrating, pulsating carnivore plants here with their little tentacle appendages vibrating back and forth there. I'm going to go ahead and look away from these before I expel something, because those are, a little bit upsetting, but they are worth quite a little bit of metal here. So in fact, if we switch to the metal viewer, there you go. 425 metal there, 305 here, a couple hundred metal on each and every one of these patches. Wow, 705 down on the southern side. Definitely worth getting a Resbot out there and trying to eat up all of these plants in order to fund that T1 army. Not necessarily enough to fund T2 on its own, but definitely enough to leapfrog your T1 army into a little bit of a higher degree of power, right? Get that snowball rolling a little bit quicker. All right, Resbot's out on the field. Looks like everybody pumped out a Resbot first thing. We see a pink Resbot, a purple Resbot, and a hot pink Resbot all headed around the map trying to claim as many of those carnivore plants as possible. Tame Commander going for a little bit of a slightly, safer start here, going for the Grunt and then the Resbot. Could even, contest the carnivore plants up here. I love to see it. Yeah, always worth trying to steal the metal from your opponent and then going back to reclaim your own. Obviously, the one towards yourself is going to be a little safer, so risking it for the biscuit can be that crucial advantage you need to win that early game first engagement. Grunts across the field here, and my goodness, is it a Cortex battle to behold. Loads of Cortex players on the map today. It looks like we're going to be seeing grunt on grunt on grunt action. Yep, there we go. Nice snipe right there from the Cyan Commander. Shuts down the Resbot and therefore protects all of this juicy metal right up here on the high ground. Should see a Resbot coming out. Where is it? Any second now? Oh, I guess not. Yeah, there it is. Okay, Resbot from the Cyan Commander. All of these commanders more than happy to go into a couple of those very, very precious grave robbers. Now, it hasn't happened yet. I don't believe, anyways. Always a little bit tricky when it does happen. Hold on. I'm waiting for it to happen. Hasn't happened yet? Maybe I'm giving it away right now. No, I don't think so. Okay. I'm waiting for the play to happen. No spoilers yet, but there is a really cool play that apparently goes down on the red team here at one point. So I wanted to go ahead and highlight that when it does occur, but it hasn't happened yet. I'll try and point it out whenever I can. In the meantime, a couple of blue grunts looking for an opportunity here, but yeah, you know what? The LLT coverage has been really nice here from the red team. Yeah, I love to see it. The safe expand apparently was the right option, as these LLTs clean up the invading grunts right now from the, blue commander, blue and purple commanders all aggressing across the map, trying to deal a little bit of damage, but really ultimately not finding much. Now, one of the things you can do, this is a very high-level move in case you're looking to step your bar into the next ecosphere. One of the things you can do is if you fear that you're not going to be able to reclaim all this, as I think the Orange Commander would probably be feeling at this very moment, one of the things you can do is dumbfire your units directly into the plants right here. That'll blast those plants down and they'll burn to death, and that means that that metal will no longer be reclaimable. It's sort of a scorched earth tactic, right? You destroy all those plants and you just go ahead and, and leave nothing for your enemy to reclaim. It oftentimes can be the difference between saving and losing a front line. Sometimes we see commanders do that with commander wreckages. They'll degun the commander wreckages. Worth remembering that you can do that with units too. You just have to shoot at the wreckage and it'll eventually get destroyed. And the orange resurgence right here, though, as the grunts push their way up this hillside right now. But at this point, GamerGuy69's commander is in the way. And that, of course, means that this will be a firmly held center section. Yeah. Angelic XS going to be holding this north side with the commander, putting down some LLTs, which is always nice. Actually going to be, kind of moving around to cut off this commander. Meanwhile, a decent engagement for the Seafoam Green commander against our yellow commander. Angelic XS's grunts and the Resbot here as well. Those reinforcements coming out of the lab, but that's a lot of grunts going up against a couple of aggravators. It's a tricky situation, that aggravator setting itself on fire there. Yeah, those grunts gonna take a wonderful trade against these rocket bots. Well, Sergeant Highway moving into position here. Not bad. Not bad whatsoever. Gamer Guy 69. A little bit locked off, actually. Yeah, you know what? Lovely move right here from the Yellow Commander. Building these LLTs behind the Cyan Commander, meaning, of course, that suddenly this commander has been trapped right here. The Cyan Commander, pardon me, has been trapped in this little area of their own creation. Sergeant Highway, meanwhile, de-gunning down some of these units. Look at the teamwork between these two commanders. Orange Commander moving southward in order to deflect this attack right here for the Yellow Commander, and the Yellow Commander moving on this northern edge to try and catch the Cyan Commander. Lovely teamwork coming out here from these two commanders, one on the hillside and one on the lowland flat ground. Good old aggravator Rocketeer brawl. It's a tale as old as time itself right now. Yeah, it's told by basically who has more units on the field. Aggravators and Rocketeers close enough in the stats that I would say that they're basically equal. I think there's minute differences, but overall I think they're basically the same. Means, of course, that it really comes down to who hits that snowball critical mass a little bit quicker. Not the end of the world if you can't win that. It just means you have to retreat off the front line. I mean, it depends on the map a little bit, right? But you can see Pharaoh GT actually earns basically nothing staying out here on the front line. We're putting tons of metal into static defense, tons of metal into units, but really holding this section of the map doesn't afford the tank commander really any advantage. We're still engaging on the same front line, right? It's still just an even front line for these two, so there's no concave advantage that it produces here. It just means that you're holding a wider open area where instead you could be holding a choke point or even setting up static defense up on this hill. This is one of the few areas where I think a gauntlet or an agitator makes a lot of sense because, of course, it can fire away down into this valley and break this stalemate. I think it might even be able to kill this metal extractor. That's a pretty far reach, though. Maybe if it's just on the very tippy toes. Irish Stud setting up an HLT right here. Slow to come up, but eventually that HLT will be quite nice for holding this center section. The light laser tower in a lot of trouble, though. The maces marching forward. Lovely stuff to see the maces in the front here, although I think I'd prefer Centurion, especially if you're going up against a Cortex Commander. Though Centurion can be very useful for blasting down grunts. And also dealing with rocket bots, actually. It's sort of a hidden talent that the Centurion have, but dealing with rocket bots is actually one of the few things that Centurion can do really, really well. Bombers coming across right now, harassing down the LLTs over here. Okay, yeah, you know what? I mean, I guess I don't mind it. We need some way to free this commander, and I guess that works. Gamer Guy in a lot of trouble. Yeah, the commander now protected by only the LLTs on the southern side is so funny to see. We've got a couple of thugs marching over from the Orange Commander who says, yeah, what a nice move right there. The Orange Commander says, hey, you know what? There's not really much reason for these thugs to be fighting on this northern side. It's been locked down. I may as well just go ahead and contribute the forces towards the southern side, taking the 2v1. I think I like that move quite a lot here. Anti-air will eventually be enough to shoot down those bombers, so no longer will they be able to harass down the LLTs right here of the Yellow Commander. A couple of aggravators firing away at these to blast free the Cyan Commander, but for the meantime, Gamer Guy is still trapped with essentially Hard Place on one side and Rock on the other. Hot Pink Commander. Kalsari Canet, I hope I did that right. Anyways, Hot Pink Commander marching forward. Again, aggravators so dangerous, and as soon as they can connect those missiles with the LLTs, well, not guaranteed, of course, but once they do, and we are at that snowball number where they can blast it down in a single shot, things become quite dangerous. Yeah, all that T1, LLT, forest, all that becomes useless. Suddenly, it becomes a really, really tricky situation. Yeah, you really can't defend against it. You need your commander or you need units, but there's really no other way. Gamer Guy 69, I guess you could go for tech if you're in exactly that situation. You have enough metal or you have enough units on the front to just go ahead and pay for it. Nicely done here by the Orange Commander. Eventually, enough thugs going to make their way in that direction to kill the commander of the Cyan Hero before the aggravators have time to really blast everything to pieces. Oh my goodness. Angelic XS moving into the front line right now, sacrificing the commander almost assuredly as his army pulls back to go fight. But in the meantime, destroying the constructor and severely halting Kolake there. Yeah, no idea if I pronounced that right. Kolash Doctor? Well, it might be Kalash Doctor, something like that. Anyway. Wow, don't tell me the Yellow Commander gets away with it, too. There should be more than enough forces here to kill the Yellow Commander. There we go. Angelic does fall, but it does come at the cost of a couple of those units here as well, softening up this army and allowing the Orange Commander and Yellow Commanders to finally trade back into their respective lanes. Thugs engaging wonderfully right here against the aggravators. Nice engagement right here. Other battles going on around the map, but I really feel like I need to keep my eyes glued on this section of the screen because this is a beautiful engagement. The teamwork between these two teams, interweaving their forces back and forth like this, has just been phenomenal. No, I don't see the play that I was expecting. Maybe I was clickbaited here, and maybe I clickbaited you too. But I'm definitely excited about that teamwork. That's wonderful stuff to see. It's one of those things that it's a hard statistic to quantify, right? There's APM, there's metal, there's energy, there's build power, all those things that I can put into numbers. The amount of teamwork that a team has, it's really hard for me to put that into a value. But I can tell you right now that Sergeant Highway and Angelic are definitely working together on another level. Irish Stud still looking relatively healthy right here, unlike Better Do Better. Oh my goodness, 2% left on that pink commander does mean that it has to get out of there. Ooh. Narrowly avoiding the rocket fire right there. Whoa, always gets a little bit sketch when you're dealing with those rocket bots. You never know when one of those stray rockets might fly past you. That's the Seafoam Green Commander going down right here to these thugs. These thugs are straight up murderers. They killed one commander and now a second, while Sergeant Highway's commander has been going ahead and reclaiming all this juicy reclaim on the top of this hill. A resbot obviously would be ideal for that because, of course, you can also use it to resurrect some of these things. But in the meantime, I mean, pumping out more and more units with all this is going to be phenomenal. Look at this. A beautiful array of advanced solar panels, too. Chugging out 1,000 energy per second is wonderful for the orange economy right here. Of course, means that it's going to be prepared for the T2. The orange economy, that is. Sergeant Highway, I suppose, is going to be prepared for that T2. Not to mention, of course, all the metal that the yellow commander is pulling in as well here. Yeah, I mean, we could keep going for metal production or energy production, but honestly, I think we're ready for that T2. Getting some more build power up and running wouldn't be the end of the world here. Maybe an e-storage to store some of that solar energy. This is looking phenomenal on the southern side for our orange and yellow heroes. HLT did eventually come up here, and we also have the Beholder, which is actually a really crucial, important part of this, because the Beholder allows this to fire at its full range. If we switch over here, maybe... not really a good example. Maybe right here you can see this is actually where the range of the HLT is lost at. So the HLT can't fire at its full range. It actually can only fire about 80, maybe 90% of its total range. It means that with the Beholder, well, it's gone now, but with the Beholder, this was able to fire a little bit further out. Oftentimes what I like to do is just put a radar tower behind it. That can be another easy way to get that vision, and that gets you about 99% of the vision range, which is usually more than enough for most cases. Either way, the Army's in a bit of a standstill here, but this is definitely quite a bit more metal for the yellow commander, about 870 for the Seafoam Green, and about 1,650 for the yellow. Don't need to explain the difference between those two. One number bigger than other means, of course, an advantage. Ooh, until the shurikens arrive. Nicely done by the powder blue commander. Okay. Caught in my tracks right here. You're not lagging, I am. Yeah, never mind. Okay. Well... that could have been a huge turnaround on the southern side, but the blue commander is waiting. Oh, okay, we're waiting for fighter support. Okay. I don't think we've been pulling shuriken so far. If we have, I haven't caught it, but at the very least, this is a very safe pull on the shuriken. Oh my goodness, just commit. Just send him in. Akatsu apparently a little bit hesitant to send these shuriken in. Not entirely sure where they should be deploying them. Oftentimes, you have to make that sacrifice. Seafoam Green Commander, Kolash Doctor, Kolaka Doctor, I don't know. We'll call you Kola. The Seafoam Green Commander Kola was ready and primed right there to jump on top of all that, but the Shuriken didn't commit. So at the end of the day, they really didn't find their value. Unfortunate, because Shuriken are one of those units that can find value immensely easily. This is looking wonderful right here. This is a stupendous T1 economy. We get the T2 mexes pumping out 8 metal per second. 8 metal is basically what you have as your T1 economy. We're pumping now 4 times that much, so we've got quite a lot of metal coming in, about 40 metal per second. Technically enough for T3 if you're feeling exceptionally greedy. Otherwise, more than sufficient for T2. In times like these, where essentially... oh, I see. Okay, we've got a forward T2 lab. I missed this T2 lab right here on the front lines. Definitely time to stop thug production, then. This is what threw me off, because these thugs are definitely outdated at this point. Looks like the repeat command is off, so these will eventually peter out, but yeah, these definitely should die out as you get ready to step up that tech level. There's certainly room for them. I mean, the thugs can be resurrected. They're a decent body shield, but as the T2 starts to roll out, it's just too efficient at shredding that T1 from out of range. It means that eventually you just have to give up your hopes and dreams of making the thug army work. There is only so much walk the thug can do. Mesa's here. Yeah, blasted to smithereens. What a beautiful concave right there from the Lavender Commander, showcasing exactly why the concave is so powerful here. Essentially, the fight went something like this versus something like this. And that wasn't really that big of a difference, but you can see on the outer edges, it meant that there was just a little bit more pressure from the surround bonus. And that, of course, means that this fight went in the favor of the Lavender Commander over here on the right-hand side. The bodies on the floor indicating that just as much. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a horrifying army marching forward right now. We did eventually go for T2. The Green Commander, Kola here, going for the T2 transition, trying to pay for it by giving up the front line. Obviously, that's a little bit of a risky gambit. If you can't make a miracle spybot connection, or maybe your economy just isn't in place properly, this can definitely come back to bite you in the butt. But at the very least, we do have these T2 mexes available. We have loads of solar panels available for the reclaim as well. I wouldn't mind even seeing these T1 constructors just put to charge, dismantling all these T1 solar panels in order to pump out more and more units. The Sheldon on the high ground are going to be quite dangerous, but look at this. The Cyan base already in tatters. Just like that, all the production is lost as the Orange Thugs do march forward right now. They're going to start blasting apart the T2 metal extractors, which are quite tanky. They do take a minute to kill. But all the time in the world right now for the Orange Commander. Yeah, Sergeant Highway pushing forward and trying desperately. I don't think we're going to see the play that I was expecting here. I think I got clickbaited, so I'll go ahead and highlight it here before the match ends. Because I think we are drawing close to some sort of a situation where this game comes to a close. Essentially what I was expecting here was that the orange and yellow commanders were going to trade. And in fact, I thought they might even swap bases entirely here, but apparently they were just interweaving between each other, helping each other out, which is always awesome to see. But it's one of those things that I think could be, again, with really good communication, you might be able to pull off swapping your entire lane, right? If you're not feeling confident against the top player, you're losing your lane, and it's early enough on that you can come back into the game. I feel like there's room for a situation where you essentially say, hey, I'm not really doing very good. Maybe somebody a little better at the game can take over for me. And then you, just go ahead and swap with somebody else. You just hit Control A to select everything, and then you hit the little arrow button next to their name. Should be over here on the right-hand side. Not the case this game, but still an excellent show of cooperation between these two. Laboratory goes down, which means no further reinforcements. Means this army can take two efficient fights right here. Like a 4v8 versus another, and then another 4v8. There we go. Seafoam Green tapping out of the game, handing all of these units over, or rather, the Blue Commander taking control of all these units. Trying to figure out what they can do about this, but now having to patch 3 lanes on the southern side, my goodness. I suppose patching their own lane and then trying to patch 2 lanes on the southern side. Cyan Commander with a little more resolve here, sticking it out to the very end, but with a very meager economy. All the wind turbines are down, which does mean that a huge energy stall is headed Gamer Guy's way. And just like that, suddenly blue attention is diverted from the front line. What otherwise could have been a devastating push with these Sheldon is now pulled back because the APM limitation is reached. And with this northern side swept away under my radar, under my nose, the red and tan forces have pushed forward, cementing the inevitable here for the blue team. Gamer Corps calling a vote for a resign, and it does get passed. The red team managing to sweep through a victory in this beautiful game of Beyond All Reason. Man, wonderful fundamentals coming out in all different directions and some beautiful showcasing of what exactly is possible when you have that kind of coordination and teamwork. If you're willing to make compromise and you're willing to work as a team, some beautiful things are certainly possible. Thanks a ton for watching. I sure hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below if you spotted something that I missed. And of course, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.